What's good with y'all boys? It's your boy Dash, and in today's video, I'm gonna be breaking down literally all the sauce you need to know on how to make a 9 Vicious type beat. Now, I already know what you're thinking. Oh, this is probably just gonna be like every other tutorial I look up where the beat doesn't even sound like the artist. Wrong. I've been studying 9 sound for the past couple of months, and throughout the process, as I've been cooking up different beats, I've kind of thrown some of them up on TikTok and Reels, and what's crazy is 9 actually liked one of them. Yeah, this first beat that we're about to get into, 9 liked the reel of me making it. So if you said this tutorial isn't accurate, I don't really know what to tell you, man. But I'm gonna be making 3 different beats in the style of 3 of 9's different producers. And by the end of this video, you should be able to make a 9 beat like it's nothing. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. All right, so this first beat is a Bella type beat. Bella is one of 9's producers, accredited with songs like Swing, Amazing, and so many other bangers that 9 has been dropping recently. In songs like Swing, we see a lot of samples, whether it's Ray Shrimmered, Rihanna, Cardi. So for the sample for this beat, I just decided to go for a Cardi song. It's King Vamp, it's a low-hanging fruit, you really can't go wrong. Honestly, if you're trying to make this type of beat, I would say start with a Cardi sample too, because 9 has sampled a bunch of different Cardi songs. But anyways, the first thing I normally like to do when I pull a sample into my project is start messing around with the key and the BPM a little bit. So I took it from 152 to 140. I would say that's the BPM range you want to be setting at for most Bella type beats. But yeah, slowed it down, and then I think I pitched it down like 300 cents. Then I added some reverb, some EQ to cut out the lows, and a fruity delay bank to just give it a little more bounce. You always want to make sure you're changing the sample around a little bit for multiple different reasons. Number one, copyright. Like if you're going to post type beats and stuff, your stuff will get flagged if you don't change it. And second of all, just creatively, it's like, you don't just want to use the same exact melody. So especially if you're making this type of beat and you're like not chomping the sample up, I would definitely say always make sure to play around with the pitch and the BPM a little bit. But then I went ahead and added this pad. What I did here is super simple. I knew my root note was G sharp, so I just built a minor chord by skipping 2, placing a note, skipping 3, placing a note. Then I added this note on top just to make the chord a little weirder. Then I threw this Venom gross beat bank on there with the wavy preset, and then the Nick Mira flux bank with the triggers preset. If you don't already know, gross beat basically chops up your chords and makes them sound super weird. So I definitely think it's worth investing in some gross beat banks, because listen to how it took the pad from this to this. This is the preset, by the way. Then I went ahead and added the flute from the original melody, just pan flute from Purity. And then the last 2 things I added were this bell from Purity and the synth from Nexus. You don't really want to do too much with the synth leads in these type of beats and just the melodies in general. 9's producers are very minimal but intentional, I would say. You know, there's only a few sounds in each beat, but the way that those sounds work together and the bounciness of it all is what makes the beat hard. Compared to something like an Osama-san type beat where Legion and Gyro are adding millions of layers. I'm not saying that 9's producers don't add a lot of layers, they're like being lazy or something, but it's just a different type of philosophy, I would say. You're not really going for anything crazy here. But yeah, super simple lead melody. It's literally 2 notes. And then for the bells, I kind of played off of the main melody. So I'm going to play it so y'all can hear it. So yeah, the melody layers on this one are super simple, but the drums is where the sauce really comes in. So there's 3 different parts of the Bella / Patrick drum bounce that I want to break down for y'all. The 808, the hi-hat, and most importantly, the clap / snare. Honestly, let's just start off with the clap since it's the most important one. So if you have ears and you've ever listened to any of the new 9 songs, you'll know they got some weird clap placements. Even if you look at the comment section from the video 9 liked, bro, there's so many people in the comments like, oh, this is offbeat, da, da, da. Bro, people just do not understand. I think the main thing that causes people to say this is the clap pattern. So I want you to just listen to, I'm going to play y'all what a normal clap pattern would sound like with this beat. You can get all these sounds from my 2026 stash kit, link in bio, by the way, but it just sounds super boring, not really like a 9 type beat. It sounds like what I was saying at the beginning of the video, someone that doesn't really know how to make a 9 type beat, trying to make a 9 type beat. But the sauce is so simple. Literally all you have to do is take a normal clap pattern and then pick a clap to take out. So technically you're picking between like either this one or this one, but you could really do whatever you want. What I did in this beat is I removed every second clap, but actually instead of removing them, I just shifted them over. Yeah, I guess removing isn't the best word, like moving them is a better word, because you don't just want to have this first clap for these type of beats. You want to have a bunch of different claps and snares going everywhere. You just don't want it on the 2 standard clap placements, but you can really get creative with it. I've heard beats where Bella takes the first clap out. I've heard ones where Patrick takes the second one out. I've heard beats where maybe you take the second one out on the first half and the first one out on the second half. I don't know. You can get weird with it. The sky's the limit, but just break the mold, bro. Break away from what you're normally used to doing with claps, and it's super fun. So yeah, here's what it sounds like with our weird, messed up snare bounce. I don't know, man. I just love that bounce. I don't know about y'all. But the clap alone is not enough to make this style of beat. You also have to understand the hi-hat bounce. So I won't go as in-depth on this here because it's not as much of a specific formula. But I will say the real sauce on 9 Beats is switching between straight hats and triplet hats. So straight hats line up on the grid like normally how the grid is set up. These little normal tickers on the normal beat of how a beat normally would go, that's the only place you're putting your hats. But if you notice in this pattern, I have a lot of notes placed outside of those grid lines. And obviously I know this might not be new information to the vet producers, but if you don't know this, you can just click this magnet to switch between different snap modes. So normally it starts on line, and normally you're good to keep it on there. But if you want to do triplet rolls, you can change it to either 1/6 beat to get these grid lines, or you can even go 1/3 step if you want double the grid lines, 1/6 if you want more than that. So sky's the limit. Again, you can play around with it as much as you want, but I would mainly recommend setting this to 1/6 beat and just adding rolls within that 1/6 beat bounce sometimes, and then switching back to the line tool to draw out the next part, and vice versa. I feel like this is a little confusing, so let me show y'all what I mean. So we start off with 2 straight notes, and then we go into a triplet thing, and then we go back into the straight notes. So back to the straight notes right there. Back to the triplets. So again, it's supposed to sound chaotic, all over the place, crazy rolls. Just go crazy with it, bro. Mess around with some different stuff, but definitely just don't stay locked into the normal box of a 2-step hi-hat pattern or just a quick triplet roll here and there. You have to actually commit to the triplet bounce for these type of beats. But last part of the drums I feel like we need to break down is the 808. Now I will say, in my opinion, the biggest thing for these type of 808s is sound selection. I personally use the Patrick 808 from my kit on this one, but as long as you pick a relatively hollow 808, I think you should be good. And what I mean by hollow is you don't want the 808 to have a lot of attack. I mean, listen to this. You want that wah sound. Let me quit yapping and play all this 808. The main sauce I would say on this is definitely these triple hits can be kind of nice, or even double hits where it's just like, I notice I do a lot of that. A lot of slide notes too. You can just kind of drag a note down beneath your note and then like extend it out, double click it, and click this button to turn it to a slide note. And that's what kind of creates this effect of going, wow. And I would just say keep it bouncy. Leave enough space. Don't do too much with the 808s, but keep it appropriately bouncy. I think bounce is the main thing we're going for in these type of beats. I made 2 variations of the 808 pattern just to make it switch up a little bit throughout the beat, and then added this classic open hat. Threw my master preset on the master from my stash kit, link in bio, and this is what we got. W beat, boys. Let's move on to the next one. I went with the Thames sample here because honestly, I was just listening to this song one day and then I was like, wait, has anyone sampled this into a 9 beat? But yeah, I kind of did a similar thing. Pitched the melody down, slowed it down a little bit, and chopped out this first part where it's just the vocals. Then I went ahead and added these counter melodies. So starting off here, we got some pads that look super complicated, and in a way, the chords kind of are, but they're really not. So let me break it down for y'all. We know that we're starting on the note F sharp because that's the root note of this chord in the melody, but how do we build a chord if we know the note? we use the same method as before. Skip 2, skip 3, skip 2, skip 3. By the way, I forgot to mention this, but that's only the formula for minor chords. If you want the formula for a major chord, it's the opposite. You start by skipping 3 and then skip 2 and then alternate from there. It's literally as simple as that. And then from there, what I start to do is just select different notes and then command up or down arrow to take them up or down octaves. So I don't really remember which ones I did that with, but I messed around with that a little bit, and ultimately these are the chords we came out with. So then I layered this sound with this other sound, and this is what we got. Very nice. And the reason why I'm not going too in-depth on chord choice here is because I just followed the chords of the melody. So then I added some of these strings and combined it with some brass. You don't want to overdo it with the brass because 9 doesn't technically hop on like glow beats, but brass and strings you can kind of never go wrong with. So here's what those sound like. But yeah, super simple layers on the melody for this one. However, the drum bounce for Ahmed beats are going to be completely different than Bella beats. With Ahmed beats, you want a super straight hi-hat pattern. Like, let me show y'all. I mean, that's about as simple as they come. And I didn't even need to add the low notes. I kind of just did that because it felt a little boring to me. Then I added a couple open hats, but the most important part is the clap. Because as you can see, once again, we're taking out the second standard clap. Are you noticing this as a theme now? Not only in those weird beats, but even in the super straightforward drum bounce beats that Ahmed is making for 9, there's still weird stuff going on with the claps. It's kind of the bread and butter to 9's whole production style. But yeah, with Ahmed beats, you're going to see less weird variations with the clap and more so just taking out the second clap. But there are times where he'll add maybe one extra note in here sometimes, or different snares and stuff to accent his pattern. But here's what all the drums sound like. Last but not least, the 808 bounce is super simple here. All drum sounds that I use in this video are going to be from my kit, link in the description, by the way. So for the 808, I grabbed the young 808 from my kit. You really don't want to do too much with the 808 on Ahmed beats. I probably did a little too much if we're really being for real here. But yeah, you want super straight hitting 808 notes, nothing too busy. You don't want to jump around the different notes too much. One cool thing you can do is these kind of double hits where the 808 hits twice really fast. I'll show y'all what that sounds like. This kind of matches the pattern I have going with the horns too, which is a nice little cherry on top, like if you know type stuff. But yeah, that's kind of a cool trick that I hear Ahmed do sometimes. So here's what the full beat sounds like. And let's break down the last one. I feel like we've been doing too many sample beats, so I'm gonna give y'all one I made from scratch. The main sound that I hear 9's producers use the most when they make their melodies is bells, bro. I could give you 5 different examples of 9 melodies that have bells in them right now. But yeah, Patrick and Bella make a lot of weird, bouncy bell beats for 9. And I think a lot of those are going to be on his upcoming album. But, so, I grabbed this bell from Purity. People hate on Purity, but like, if you know what you're doing, you can use Purity for pretty much any type of beat. I went to this bell and perk section and grabbed the vibe stick, and then I combined it with this tie bell. Using 2 different bells helps to give the beat more of a bounce, I find, and it just makes it easier to come up with bell melodies when you kind of come up with one half and then the other half. So I started off with this, and then I added this, and it makes all the difference in the world. It sounds like a fully fleshed out bell melody. I didn't want to do too much from there, so I just added this synth. Really nothing too crazy there, just some random serum patch. I do think you need some type of bass synth melody to help the bell bounce though with these type of beats. And then the last melody I added is this lead. It's super simple. It's just alternating between our 2 808 notes, but the sauce is you got to take just one note at the end and put it up an octave and then throw some crazy gross beat on there. This is the Nick Mira Flux gross beat bank, by the way, for anyone who's wondering. But yeah, with the gross beat and the high note, here's what it sounds like. Absolutely insane. So then I just grabbed some more drum sounds from my kit and applied kind of that same knowledge that we have about the drum bounce from the Bella beat to this one. Nothing too crazy going on here other than I added some kind of crazy snare rolls in at the end. It's not 9's signature thing, so you don't have to add snare rolls, but if you want to, it's the same thing. Just click the magnet, go to 1/3 beat to add some of those triplet rolls. And then for the hi-hats, I threw on this plugin called Looperator. If you know, you know, this is some absolute sauce for hi-hats. You can add some dope like reverse effects and stuff, and if you just turn the mix knob down to 50%, normally it sounds really good. But yeah, with all that put together, here's what we got. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to listen to any of these full beats, I'll have the link down in the description, along with all my other links like my beat store, my drum kit, and all that good stuff. If y'all learn anything from this, let me know down in the comments, and also let me know what y'all want to see next. I'm thinking of doing maybe a Cardi video breaking down how to make a baby boy type beat, but I'm down for whatever. So I don't got much to say other than that. I hope this helped y'all. Peace out.